the Met Office is the science advisory body for Climate Week. In such a politically charged topic as climate change, I think it's important that the science advisor has to be completely impartial. So I'm just going to put a little bit of distance between myself and the actual question that we've been posed here. It's not my role to tell anybody what to do, they should speed up or anything like that. My role is to give the scientific context for that. So to answer your question, where are we and where are we going? What is the evidence for climate change and our role in it? Well, we have different levels of confidence and understanding in different aspects of the whole complex climate change problem. There's natural climate variability, of course. The climate does vary on its own accord naturally, but on top of that, humans are having an influence. There's some things that we know for certain. There's some things that we don't know for certain, we're very unsure about, but are maybe huge risks in the long term, maybe opportunities in the long term. What we know for certain, we know that the world is getting warmer. There's evidence from weather stations around the world showing that the global average temperature is rising. We're seeing other signs of a warming world in terms of rising sea levels, loss of land ice, for example. The picture is one of the world warming up over the last 100 years. We also know for certain that greenhouse gas concentrations are increasing in the atmosphere. These are measured very precisely. They've been measured very precisely for the last 50 years, and they can be, there's other evidence for rises in the previous 100 years, and then evidence for them not rising for the previous, well, several tens of thousands of years, or at least fluctuating only slightly. So unusual things are definitely happening in terms of the global temperature and greenhouse gas concentrations. We also are absolutely certain that the greenhouse gas concentration rises are man-made. There's more than enough carbon dioxide being emitted from human activity to account for the rise in CO2 in the atmosphere. In fact, the emissions are double the rise in the atmosphere, because the other half is going back into the biosphere and the oceans. So those three things we're confident about. It stands to reason that if emissions of greenhouse gases continue into the future, then something is going to happen. The change that we're already starting to see are probably going to get larger. Exactly what this means, we don't really know. I'm always a little bit nervous about the phrase catastrophic climate change. The catastrophic stuff may happen in the long term. Stuff which is not catastrophic but still bad news may still happen. Also, there may also be some benefits as well. The point is, we have no crystal ball into the future. We've got computer models which give us a way of estimating a range of possible changes. That's all we've really got. And they show some, yes, potentially some major changes, potentially some smaller changes. The point is, it all comes down to individuals' attitude to risk. How much risk do you want to take in the future? And that's where the science advice stops and the society response begins. You inform by the science what the risks are, and you decide what to do with that. The other point I wanted to make was that I've been in climate change science, or climate science, for the last 20 years nearly now. In that time, global emissions of greenhouse gases have been going up and up continually. There is now a certain amount of climate change locked into the system already. Stuff is in the pipeline. As I said earlier, we don't really know what's coming, but we know that something is coming. Changes are afoot already. Even if we reduce global emissions drastically in the next few years, even if we achieved the peak in emissions in, say, 5 years and then emissions declined, some further change will already be in the pipeline. So we also need to be thinking about adaptation to climate change, being prepared for what's already in the pipeline, thinking about when there's developments on the coast, accounting for the sea level rise, which is already inevitable, developments on floodplains, for example, new housing, as well as being low carbon in terms of if you want to reduce emissions and reduce future change, also needs to be resilient to a warmer world, for example. So it's important not to forget that we already need to live with the change we put into place, as well as thinking what our response in terms of affecting or minimising future changes in the longer term.